Hello everyone, and welcome back to Podcasts with Ali and Aiza. I'm Ali, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-host Aiza. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Ali. And hello to all our wonderful listeners out there. We're so excited to have you with us today. We've been getting so many messages from our listeners asking us to talk about communication skills. And today we have something really special lined up. We're going to explore the fascinating world of effective speaking. Basically, how to talk in a way that makes people actually want to listen to you. Doesn't that sound intriguing?
Absolutely. And before we dive deep into today's topic, let me just say, this is such an important skill for everyone, especially if you're learning English. Because let's be honest, what's the point of learning a language if people tune out when you're speaking, right? So today, we're going to break down the secrets of powerful communication, discuss common speaking mistakes that push people away, and share some amazing techniques that can transform the way you express yourself. Plus, we'll make sure to explain all the useful vocabulary along the way, so grab your notebooks if you like to take notes while listening.
Perfect. And I have to say, Ali, this topic hits close to home for me. I remember when I first started learning English, I was so focused on grammar and vocabulary that I completely forgot about how I was actually delivering my message. I would speak in this flat, monotonous voice. Monotonous means boring and unchanging without any variation in tone. And I wondered why people seemed distracted when I talked. It wasn't until someone gave me feedback that I realized communication is so much more than just the words we choose.
That's such a relatable experience, and I'm sure many of our listeners can identify with that. So let's start with the foundation here. Think about your own voice for a moment. It's actually the most powerful instrument you have. Your voice can express joy, sadness, anger, love, excitement, and so many other emotions. It can inspire people, comfort them, or even change their minds about important issues. But here's the thing that many people don't realize. There are certain speaking habits that actually make people stop listening to us, even if what we're saying is important or interesting. These habits are like barriers that we unconsciously build between ourselves and our audience.
Exactly. So let's talk about these speaking habits that we should really try to avoid. Think of them as communication pitfalls. Pitfalls are hidden dangers or traps that you might fall into without realizing it. The first one is something that's incredibly common in social situations, and that's gossip. Now, gossip means talking about other people when they're not around, usually sharing negative information or rumors about them. Here's why this is problematic. When you're speaking badly about someone who isn't present to defend themselves, the person you're talking to automatically thinks, well, if they're gossiping about that person to me, they'll probably gossip about me to others later. It creates this atmosphere of distrust, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and it's interesting because gossip is so normalized in many cultures and social circles that people don't even realize they're doing it. But if you want people to truly respect you and listen to what you have to say, you need to build a reputation as someone who's trustworthy and respectful. Moving on to the second habit we should avoid, and this is a big one: judging. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone who's constantly evaluating everything you say, making you feel like you're being critiqued or criticized the whole time? It's exhausting, isn't it? When someone is judging you while you're speaking, you can feel it in the air. You become self-conscious, and you start filtering everything you want to say because you're worried about their reaction. That's not real communication. That's performing under pressure.
Oh, that's so true. And speaking of exhausting conversational habits, let's talk about negativity. Now, we all go through difficult times, and it's natural to need to vent occasionally. To vent means to express your frustrations or negative feelings. But there's a difference between occasionally sharing your struggles and being persistently negative about everything. Imagine someone who complains about the weather when it's sunny because it's too bright, complains when it's rainy because it's too wet, complains about their job, their neighbors, their commute, basically everything in their life. After a while, being around that person becomes draining because negativity is contagious. It spreads like a virus. Instead of uplifting the people around them, chronic complainers pull everyone down into their pessimistic worldview.
And that connects perfectly to another related habit: excessive complaining. Now, there's actually a cultural element to this that's quite interesting. In some cultures, complaining is almost like a social bonding activity. People bond over shared grievances about traffic, politics, the education system, you name it. But here's the reality. Complaining, when it becomes your default mode of communication, is what we might call viral misery. That's such a powerful phrase, viral misery. It means that complaining spreads unhappiness from person to person, just like a virus spreads from one host to another. When you complain constantly, you're not contributing positivity or solutions to the world. You're just circulating dissatisfaction and disappointment.
That's such an important insight. Now let's discuss another habit that really frustrates people. Making excuses and deflecting responsibility. We've all encountered this person, and if we're being honest with ourselves, we've probably all been this person at some point in our lives. This is someone who never takes ownership of their mistakes or failures. If something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. Their boss didn't give clear instructions, their colleague didn't do their part, the traffic was terrible, their alarm didn't go off. While these external factors might contribute to problems, someone who habitually makes excuses comes across as immature and unreliable. The phrase blame thrower perfectly captures this behavior. Instead of accepting responsibility, they throw the blame onto everyone around them like they're tossing around a hot potato.
Brilliant explanation. Moving forward, let's examine the habit of exaggeration and embellishment. Embellishment means adding extra details or making something seem more impressive or dramatic than it actually is. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're describing a movie you watched, and instead of saying it was really good, you say it was literally the most incredible, mind-blowing, absolutely phenomenal experience of my entire life. Now, if you use this level of dramatic language for everything, what happens when something truly extraordinary occurs? You've already used up all your superlatives. Superlatives are words that express the highest degree of something, like best, greatest, most amazing. This exaggeration cheapens our language and eventually leads to dishonesty. When people realize you're constantly overstating things, they stop trusting your descriptions and recommendations altogether.
And that brings us to the final problematic speaking habit, which is dogmatism. Dogmatism is a fascinating word for English learners. It means being stubbornly attached to your opinions and presenting them as if they were undeniable facts. Let me give you an example to make this clearer. There's a huge difference between saying, in my opinion, remote work is more productive, and saying remote work is definitely more productive, and anyone who thinks otherwise is completely wrong. The second statement is dogmatic. When someone presents their personal opinions as if they were universal truths, it shuts down conversation. People stop engaging because there's no room for dialogue, no space for different perspectives. It becomes a one-sided lecture rather than a genuine exchange of ideas.
These are all such important points, and I'm sure many of our listeners are now recognizing some of these habits in themselves or in people they know. But let's shift gears here and talk about the positive side of communication. Instead of just avoiding bad habits, what can we actively do to become more effective speakers? Well, there's actually a wonderful framework for this, and it's easy to remember because it spells out a word: hail. Hail. In English, to hail means to greet someone enthusiastically or to call out to them with excitement and respect. So when we speak with hail principles, we're speaking in a way that will be welcomed and celebrated by our listeners.
I love this framework. Let's break it down letter by letter. The H stands for honesty. This seems obvious, right? Be truthful in what you say. But honesty in communication goes deeper than just not lying. It means being genuine and transparent, speaking with integrity. Integrity means having strong moral principles and being consistent in your actions and words. It means not sugarcoating everything. To sugarcoat means to make something seem better or more pleasant than it really is. When you communicate honestly, people learn to trust you. And trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationships, whether personal or professional.
Beautifully explained. Now, the A stands for authenticity, which is closely related to honesty but focuses more on being true to yourself. Authenticity means not pretending to be someone you're not adopting a fake persona to impress others. There's this wonderful expression, standing in your own truth, which means being comfortable with who you are and expressing yourself genuinely, even if it makes you vulnerable. In today's world of social media, where everyone seems to be crafting a perfect image of themselves, authenticity is refreshing and powerful. People are drawn to authentic speakers because they can sense the realness, There's no performance, no facade, just a human being expressing their genuine thoughts and feelings.
That's absolutely right. The I represents integrity, which we touched on briefly, but let's expand on it. Integrity in speaking means that your words align with your actions. It means if you say you're going to do something, you actually follow through. If you make a promise, you keep it. If you commit to a deadline, you meet it. This consistency between what you say and what you do builds enormous credibility. People start to think, when this person speaks, I can rely on what they're saying because they've proven themselves reliable time and time again. In professional settings especially, this kind of integrity is invaluable. Invaluable means extremely useful or important, so valuable that you can't put a price on it.
And finally, we have L, which stands for love. Now, before anyone gets confused, we're not talking about romantic love here. We're talking about genuine goodwill, wishing people well, approaching conversations with kindness and compassion. Here's why this matters. When you truly care about someone's well-being, even in a brief conversation, it becomes nearly impossible to judge them harshly at the same time. This kind of love tempers all the other qualities. For example, pure honesty without love might lead you to say something unnecessarily harsh like, "You look terrible today." But honesty combined with love helps you communicate truthfully while still being considerate of others' feelings. You might instead say, "You seem tired today, are you feeling okay? Is there anything I can do to help?"
This HAIL framework is so practical and memorable. But you know what? Even if we're speaking with honesty, authenticity, integrity, and love, the way we deliver our message matters enormously. This is where vocal variety comes in. Think of your voice as a sophisticated toolbox filled with different instruments that you can use to make your speaking more engaging and impactful. Unfortunately, most people never explore this toolbox. They stick to the same monotonous pattern day after day. Let's open up that toolbox and see what's inside.
Great idea. So the first tool we have is register. Register refers to the pitch range you're speaking in, whether your voice is coming from high up in your nasal area, from your throat, or from deep in your chest. Here's an interesting fact. We naturally associate deeper voices with authority and power. That's why in elections, candidates with lower voices often have an advantage. Voters unconsciously perceive them as more commanding and trustworthy. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to artificially lower their voice, but being aware of your register and learning to use your chest voice when you want to convey authority or importance can make a significant difference in how you're perceived.
Exactly. And then we have timbre. That's spelled timbre, and it's pronounced timbre. Timbre refers to the quality or texture of your voice, the way it feels to listeners. Research shows that people generally prefer voices that are warm, smooth, and rich. Some people describe the ideal timbre as sounding like hot chocolate. If you can imagine that. It's comforting and pleasant to listen to. Now, if your voice doesn't naturally have these qualities, don't worry. You can actually train your voice. Working with a vocal coach, practicing proper breathing techniques, improving your posture, and doing specific vocal exercises can all enhance your voice's timbre over time.
You know what? I think this is a perfect moment to get our listeners actively involved. We've been talking about all these techniques, but let's actually practice them together. So, dear listeners, wherever you are right now, whether you're walking, commuting, or sitting comfortably at home, I want you to try something with us. Let's explore vocal variety through a simple exercise. I'm going to say a sentence in different ways, and I want you to notice how the meaning changes. Ready? Here we go. I didn't say you stole my wallet. Now listen as I emphasize different words. I didn't say you stole my wallet, suggesting someone else said it. I didn't say you stole my wallet, firmly denying the accusation. I didn't say you stole my wallet, implying someone else stole it. See how much the meaning shifts just by changing emphasis?
That's such a powerful demonstration. And this connects to what we call prosody. Prosody is the rhythm, stress, and intonation patterns in speech. Basically, it's the musical quality of language. This is what prevents us from sounding like robots. When someone speaks on one note without any variation, we describe them as monotonous or monotone. It's really difficult to stay engaged with monotone speakers because there's no emotional color, no emphasis to guide us toward what's important. On the flip side, some people have developed a habit of making every statement sound like a question by raising their voice at the end. You know what I mean? Where everything sounds uncertain even when it's actually a definite statement. This pattern, called uptalk, can undermine your credibility because you sound unsure of yourself even when you're not.
Those are excellent points. Now let's talk about pace and silence, two tools that work beautifully together. Pace refers to how quickly or slowly you speak. When you're excited or passionate about something, naturally speaking faster can convey that enthusiasm and energy. But when you want to emphasize something crucial, slowing down makes people lean in and pay close attention. And here's something many speakers are afraid of but shouldn't be: silence. Brief pauses in your speech are incredibly powerful. They give your listeners time to absorb what you've just said, they create anticipation for what's coming next, and they make you appear confident and in control. Unfortunately, many people are so uncomfortable with silence that they fill every pause with, like, or, you know. Try to embrace those moments of silence instead.
And let's not forget about pitch and volume. Pitch is how high or low your voice goes. Think about how the same words can convey completely different emotions depending on pitch. "That's interesting," said with a rising, higher pitch, sounds genuinely curious and engaged. "That's interesting," said with a flat or falling pitch, might sound sarcastic or dismissive. Volume is equally important. Speaking too loudly all the time is overwhelming and can seem aggressive, while speaking too softly makes people strain to hear you, which is frustrating. The key is variation. Sometimes speaking louder for emphasis, sometimes dropping to almost a whisper to draw people in and make them listen more carefully.
Wow, we've covered so much ground today. Before we wrap up, I want to share one more crucial insight with all of you. If you have something really important to communicate, maybe you're giving a presentation at work, maybe you're about to have a difficult conversation with someone you care about, or maybe you're preparing for a job interview, you owe it to yourself to warm up your voice beforehand. Just like athletes stretch before a competition, speakers should prepare their vocal instrument. Simple exercises like taking deep breaths and sighing them out, doing lip trills, tongue twisters, and vocal sirens, where you slide from your highest to lowest pitch, can make an enormous difference in how clear and confident you sound.
That's such practical advice. And as we close today's episode, I want to leave you all with this thought. Imagine a world where everyone communicated consciously and thoughtfully, where people spoke with honesty, authenticity, integrity, and genuine care for others, where we designed our environments to actually facilitate good listening and clear communication, where we consumed information mindfully instead of being constantly bombarded with noise and distraction. That world would be characterized by understanding, empathy, and connection. And every single one of us has the power to contribute to creating that world through the way we choose to communicate every single day.
What a beautiful vision to end on. Remember, dear listeners, becoming an effective communicator doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey of continuous improvement and self-awareness. Start by noticing your own speaking habits. Are you falling into any of those communication traps we discussed? Then gradually incorporate the HAIL principles into your daily conversations. Experiment with your vocal toolbox. Record yourself speaking and listen back to identify areas where you can improve. Most importantly, be patient and kind with yourself throughout this process. Every small improvement you make in how you communicate is a step toward becoming not just a better English speaker, but a better communicator in any language.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much to all our amazing listeners for joining us today on Podcasts with Ali and Aiza. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. If you enjoyed today's discussion about effective speaking, please share it with your friends who are also learning English or working on their communication skills. And don't forget to practice those vocal exercises we mentioned. Your voice will thank you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep speaking with confidence and authenticity. This is Ali
and Aiza, wishing you all wonderful conversations and meaningful connections. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.